one another with compassion. Amen. The first thing I want to talk about this morning, about how you and I can relate with others as Christians, is one, treat one another with compassion. Amen. Treat one another with compassion. Now, in a King James version, that text was read as bowels of mercy. When we say compassion, it simply means being touched by the needs of people so that we respond with appropriate action to help them. Amen. Compassion simply means being touched by the needs of people so that we can appropriately take actions towards helping them. Amen. Jesus Christ used this to describe the Good Samaritan. Let's look at Luke 10:33. Luke 10:33. Luke 10:33. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion. The story of which one man was wounded. And many people came to pass by, the Levites came to pass by, the priest passed by. But it took only a Samaritan, a foreigner, who came, and this Samaritan was able to help this man, send him to the inn, all because one, when he saw him, he had what? Compassion. Simply means that when he saw him, he was touched. Amen. He was touched by what is wrong with the man. And at that stage in time, he took appropriate action to help the man from his what? Predicament. Amen. So it is only with compassion that this church can grow. We do not expect that only church elders, pastors, leaders of the church are the ones to only show compassion. A good church, a growing church, is a church in which compassion is seen from the top to the down. Amen. Look at the early church. How did they grow? The church grew when everybody knew that the needs of others must be their needs. This is the reason why Barnabas could sell his possession just for the sake of what? Taking care of the needs of what? Others. This is the reason why Ananias will go out there, sell his possession just to what? Take care of the needs of others. All because they realize that if the church will grow, there is a need for them to be touched by the needs of others and then help them. Amen. Ananias was not a leader. Ananias was like a member of the church. Amen. So it is very much important that you and I today will stand our grounds and then exhibit what? Compassion. Treat one another with what? Compassion. When we read Luke 15 verse 20, when the prodigal son took away his share of the possession, left to a faraway land, enjoyed, did everything. When he came back to his senses and realized that he had made a big mistake, he returned. Luke 15:20 says that, and when he was coming, the father rose and came to his father. When he was still a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. The first thing the father did was to have what? Compassion. Compassion is a feeling. Amen. Compassion is the what? Feeling. Being touched by the needs of what? Others. If you hear your friend, your sister, your brother in the church, you hear your friend or sister or your brother outside the church is in need, how do you feel? Amen. If you hear your brother or your sister outside the church or in the church, or even who is an unbeliever is in need, how do you feel? Amen. We need to demonstrate what? Compassion. If we are to live with people and live with them well as Christians, there is the need for you and I to what? Be touched by their needs and then what? Fulfill them. There are some people, their needs are not money. Fine, some they need money. But if you cannot give money, I said compassion is what? Being touched by the needs of others. Then two, taking appropriate action to what? Help them. There are some, even though they need money, but talking to them can be enough. Encouraging them can be what? Enough. Amen. But what then do? We go out there and then send their problems out there, discuss with others, insult them, gossip about them out there. But rather, we're supposed to what? Treat them with what? Compassion. So if you are a Christian and you are a child of God and you are God's chosen one, you are God's beloved, someone God has called to separate yourself, there is the need for you to treat others with what? Compassion. Amen. The next thing you and I must do